So we are back on the concrete countertop project. Today we are going to form everything up and get it ready to pour tomorrow. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Detached Garage. Today we are back on the concrete countertop project. Today we are going to form everything up and get it ready to pour some concrete tomorrow. This is probably the most crucial step. Prep always takes a lot longer than the actual pour. The pour goes pretty quick. We'll get into that in the next episode, but today we are going to form everything up. So the first step, what we are going to do is we'll flip the camera around and we will get all of this surface cleaned. Then we are going to, let's see if I can get it here, put some of this silicone down on all of these cross beams here and around all the edges and get the concrete board glued down essentially to the top here. This is how granite countertops, quartz countertops are all placed with silicone to adhere them to the surface. So we're gonna get that done. Then we're gonna do the Z concrete form edges all the way around with the bull nose. We'll get that taped up, we'll get the screws put in, and then we will put the mesh in, and then we will be ready to pour. So come along with me, let's get this camera turned around and let's get to work. All right, so the first part is to get a good, clean working surface. We gotta get this tape off of here. We're gonna take a rag, wipe all of this down, and then we're gonna put a level on here and figure out where we might need to shim a little bit. So let's go get a rag, let's get this tape off, and let's get to it. All right, guys, so we've got this pretty well down. I am going to put a little bit of weight on here because you can see this does flex a little bit when I push on it. So I'm gonna go put some weight on here so we can get this pushed down a little bit further. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna bring out the forms and then we'll get this all formed up and then we'll caulk all the seams to make sure that we don't have any concrete leakage out of it. All right, guys, so a few tools you're going to need. You are going to need a 5/32 drill bit. Then you're also going to need some number 10 5/8 screws. And what you're gonna do is you're going to get the Counterform in line here and set up where you want it to be. So we'll say like right about there, kind of right on the 45. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna drill through this with the drill, but we're not gonna drill all the way through the concrete board. We're just going to drill through this section here until we hit the concrete board, but we're not gonna go through the concrete board. Then what we're gonna do is we're gonna put these screws in along the way. So we'll get this one set up and then we will anchor it down with a few screws and then we'll finish the rest. And then we'll come back and get the rest of our pieces all set up. All right, guys, 2 of them installed. We do have a little bit of a gap here, but what the Gorilla Tape is for is to hold this together and then we will caulk this as well. So not too worried about this gap. We will get it taken care of with the tape and get this reinforced, and then we will also get some tape on the bottom and some sealant right in the corners here. You'll never see this. This will be underneath everything, so putting sealant down in this region over here is perfectly fine. So we'll get that done and we'll get all of this sealed up, and then after we get going on the rest of these pieces here. All right, guys, so we have all of the bullnose installed all the way around. We've got all the screws in. This one we had to drill a few extra holes just on the corners. The concrete board was kind of crumbling, so I needed to put a few extra to hold this down. This one is still even a little bit wigglier than I would want it to be, but we will get some silicone here. So the next step is to get the back placed over here. But what we need to do is I need to go find an oscillating tool, and so that we can get this cut out so it can sit down low in this area here. So we'll get all this notched out so it can kind of slot right in between the concrete board and the wall over here. So let's go get that tool, and then we'll be back to get this fitted up. We're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna drill holes and along the back and notch that down. So we've got the back fastened down. We've got all of that screwed and ready to go. So now I blew out all the little plastic twists from everything. So what we're gonna do now is we are going to tape the ends here. We're gonna tape everywhere we can, and then we're also gonna fill up anywhere where we think the concrete might leak out. So we're gonna silicone around the edge over here. We're gonna tape this edge here. We're also going to silicone around the edge over here. So we're gonna basically make this as tight as possible. And then what we'll do is we'll get the mesh out, and we will get that all fastened down as well. So we've got every corner taped. You can see we did multiple layers of tape here. And one of the big things and reasons why we did that is because we need to get this pulled as tight as possible. So you can still see there is a little bit of flex in here. I might try putting one more layer of tape on this one just to get it even closer, so we don't have to do as much sanding after we pour. But if the concrete does get into this little gap here, we can always sand that out. That won't be a huge deal. But we've got tape on all the corners as well as tape on these right here. We need to get this aligned a little bit better and try and pull it a little bit tighter. So we will get another layer of tape on that as well. We've got everything caulked around the edges here. I need to go in and smooth this out so it's not so bubbly, but we've got tape up underneath here, and so that should stop anything from running out the bottom, but I put a little bit of silicone on there to stop that as well. Did a little bit of silicone here, as well as tape on the bottom. So we've got everything covered. So I'm gonna go smooth out the silicone. I'm gonna get a wet rag, smooth out the silicone with my finger, and then what we will do is get the mesh, roll the mesh out, and start looking at the mesh standoffs to get this thing pretty well finished up. All right, guys, so we are on to the next phase here. We have these standoffs, and they come with holes in them already. So basically what we're gonna do is we're gonna take this wire mesh, which is sized exactly 2 feet wide, so it will fit right in here for exactly what we need it to. So what we're gonna do is these clips will clip onto this wire mesh, and they will keep it just below the height of the overall countertop where we want it to be. And so then we are going to drill a bunch of these down with the screws. I forgot to mention that Concrete Countertop Solutions does sell everything you need. So the clips, the mesh, the screws, trowels, sanding discs, sealant. We'll get to the sanding and sealant in another episode, but for preparation, they got you covered with pretty much everything you need. So there'll be a link in the description for our sponsor. Again, huge shout out to Concrete Countertop Solutions. They've made this process so easy. There's a number of different videos. Hopefully you'll follow along with my video to see if I make any mistakes and make sure you don't make any mistakes. So let's get these clips out of the box. Let's get this let's get the mesh rolled out. Let's start clipping, and then we will fasten these through the hole with these screws. All right, guys, so change of plans. We're gonna do two things differently. It is looking like it is about to rain. So what I'm gonna do is get a layer of plastic over the top of this. We're gonna also let the silicone set up a little more before we do the mesh. So that might be later tonight or early tomorrow morning, right before the pour. We'll get those done, but first let's get this covered so we don't fill this swimming pool up with water here. And yeah, then we will either get to this tonight or we'll get to this tomorrow morning. All right, guys, good morning. We are back at it. The rain didn't take it out too much, so we are going to roll this mesh out, and then we are going to get all the little standoffs put in place. So again, make sure to wear gloves with this because there is fiber and wire in this, and then you will need either a side cutter or scissors or tin snips to be able to cut this. So make sure you have that. So let's get rolling this out, and then we will start adding the standoffs to keep it at the right height before we pour. Then we're gonna screw all of these down, and we'll go from there. All right, guys, so we have everything masked off. We've got our screed up here. This is also from Concrete Countertop Solutions. It's kind of the perfect length for going between the back and the front. And so we will just screed like this. And so we've got everything ready. Let's start mixing some concrete and pouring. All right, so the pour is done. We've already started working the concrete here in the sun. The concrete over here is a little bit wetter. It's also the last that we poured and it's not in the sun. So this side is gonna take a lot longer to dry, so we won't work that quite as soon. You can already see it's turning out really, really nice. A huge shout out to our sponsor, Concrete Countertop Solutions, and their Z-Form system. This was really, really easy to do, a little time consuming, but man, you can save a lot of money with this system. So we're gonna keep working the concrete. We'll get to another episode where we break the forms off, as well as then polish and do the sealing on it. So that'll be another episode. If you have any questions on this process, please put them down in the comments below. And again, a huge shout out to our sponsor, Concrete Countertop Solutions. I hope to catch you in the next episode.